Yay! Welcome everyone. This is Jeff with Astroscoop, and I tried to do my live stream last night, the 19th, and I tried for over an hour and it didn't work. So I'm not sure if that was on my end or if it was YouTube. I think it was YouTube because our internet was working. So here we are. Today is July 20th, 2024. Astroscoop live stream. And let's see if we have anybody yet. Looks like we have one person. Welcome. Oh, Carolyn says, yay, you're here. Yes, I am. Oh, yeah, that was a real hassle last night. I don't know what was going on with that. Couldn't, every time I refreshed, it kicked me out of YouTube. I had to go back in, and that's why I had to do the other stream, and then it still didn't work. And I didn't want to shut down my computer because I thought I would lose everything. So I'm so glad to be here tonight. So we'll take our time. We'll give it a couple minutes to see if anyone else comes in. Hopefully people saw the reminder, because I know in the beginning, the first 2 or 3 live streams, we did it on Saturdays, and I've been doing it on Fridays, so we're kind of flip-flopping. But today's July 20th, 2024, and oh, there's a beautiful cardinal over there. Wow, beautiful cardinal. So I'm looking to the west, and so tonight's sunset is another 6 or 7 minutes shorter than last week, and the morning's a little shorter. So I can see it's a little more cloudy and a little more less light in the evening, and it still has an hour and 20 minutes to go till the sunset. So that's wonderful. So we are we're in the Cancer-Leo Cusp now, and obviously I talked about that last week. So I'm kind of, I mentioned last week how I'm kind of a week ahead. Somehow we got a week ahead, and I'm doing my live stream and talking about the coming period in the coming 5 to 7 days. So if there's anything, if anyone sees this in the future or the replay, if anybody wants to see something specific for me to talk about, like a current transit, or I mentioned the Saturn return that I want to do a live stream on mostly Saturn return, those kinds of things, please let me know and suggest something. And, if I vibrate with it, I will do it, and maybe take a week off from doing the period, and we'll concentrate on something else, which would be fun. And, there's only so much time to talk about things, but we have tons of live streams in the future, and I'm already thinking into the fall kinds of things I want to do. So I would love to get your ideas and input and make this as engaging and collaborative as possible. We definitely want to make it collaborative, because obviously I'm just talking here out loud, and eventually hope to get 10, 12, 15 people and get a little group going, and find out what people want to talk about, what's on their mind, what's current with the planets and the cycles, and obviously, and go from there. So it's 7:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll wait a couple minutes till we get into it, another minute or two, see if anyone else shows up. But the coolest thing is, I mentioned last week was a quarter moon phase, and that is the moon phase before the full moon. So tonight we have the sun in Cancer still, and we have the moon in a late degree of Capricorn. And let's just check really quick. We'll talk about that a little later. The moon is 22 degrees of Capricorn tonight. So tomorrow is the full moon. So tomorrow is the one full moon with Cancer and Capricorn. As I mentioned, in the winter, we had the Cancer full moon. We had Cancer opposing the moon in Cancer. So this is Sun in Cancer opposing moon in Capricorn. So for anybody, obviously for any Capricorn or Cancer placements, that are between 20 and 30, later placements, you'll definitely feel this full moon and it will activate something for you. And for people that are not, if you don't have like sun, moon, or rising in Cancer or Capricorn, you still may have a planet that it might affect, or it will definitely affect the house in your natal chart. And in tonight's chart, just real quick, we'll talk about this more. In tonight's chart, we have Cancer, which is that we have the sun in Cancer in the 7th house, and it's on the cusp of the house of relationships, 7th house of marriage, one-on-one relationships. So anybody with Cancer planets, if this sun moon conjunction, if this sun is conjuncting your Cancer planet, it's going to be primarily in the solar chart. It's primarily about relationships, but you have to look where it is in your chart because it's not necessarily in the 7th house for your chart. So you just have to look and see what that is. But let's just take a moment here. I'm just so happy this finally worked. Wow, this is the camera's looking really, really clear too. This looks really, really clear. I hope the audio is good. I have 2 different microphones. One microphone is built into the camera, and then I have a separate mic over here, which I do like sometimes for my videos when I do some background talking. I can use this mic, and I can turn the volume of that mic up and down in the computer, and I can. So I'm not sure how this sounds. This is the one I think I originally used when we first started the live stream. So that should be sufficient, I assume. And I've moved the camera closer to me. All right, good. Carolyn said audio is great. Awesome, Carolyn, thank you. And you guys are a little closer, so you might be able to see this. I just moved it a little closer. The audio is good. Awesome. All right. And at some point this fall or winter, my goal is to update this office studio because this looks okay, but I want to find a way, either an easel or I want to find something on here where I can put up the solar chart or a natal chart where you can see my points, but you can also see a chart or something that I'm displaying for presentation purposes. And I got to work on some of the clutter in here and stuff to make it a little more zen, because your personal space gets cluttered very easily. Even if you're not a messy person, it doesn't take long for just little stuff to get all around here. So if you guys could see here, it's not too bad, but I'm gonna work on it this week. But for the fall and winter, I'm looking forward to hopefully revamp and upgrade this a little bit. All right, so it's 7:08 Eastern Standard Time. I haven't seen anyone else pop in, so we can get started. So we talked about last week the Cancer-Leo Cusp, which was July 19th, or which is July 19th, which is yesterday, to next week, which is right around to the 25th or 26th of July. So we're still in Cancer, the sign of Cancer, but now we're on the cusp period, and we're getting very, very close to the Leo. And we're going to talk about tonight the Cancer-Leo Cusp going into the Leo 1 period, which runs from July 26th to right around August 2nd or 3rd. So the 25th or 26th, depending on the year, to August 2nd or 3rd, depending on the year. Now, when I was doing research for this, for Leo, I realized that I have not known, again, there's just certain weeks of the year I personally haven't known a lot of people born this specific week. I'm not talking about all Leos born the whole month, just talking about Leos this week. I do have one family member that's born in early August, but I couldn't think of anyone else in my family or even extended family that is born on this period. So that's interesting. And I was also trying to think through the jobs I've had, people I've coached and worked with. And again, I could not place I think I've maybe thought of one or two people, acquaintance-wise, over the years that were born this week that I didn't know well. So haven't met many Leos born during the Leo 1 period, but you know, I've looked up a lot of charts, especially musicians and actors and actresses and entertainers and politicians, and I think I hopefully will do Leo justice tonight with the Leo 1 period. And whoever catches this on the replay, if you have a Leo friend or family member, or you're a Leo, please let me know in the comments, because as I said last week, at the beginning of last week, Leo is just Leo. There's really no other sign. Every sign has a unique, gift or spark about them, right? Every sign is just has an essence and a certain talent that no other sign has. That's special to the symbology of the sign and their element and their symbolism. But Leos are they are one of a kind. That's for sure. At least all the Leos I've met, and most of the Leos I've met are born in the coming weeks that we're going to talk about more. Leo 2 and Leo 3 and Leo Virgo Cusp. I forgot to mention last week that I know a man in his 20s that has a birthday coming up next week on the 22nd. So he's a Cancer-Leo Cusp, and he's a very interesting mix. I can see he's very moody, but he really loves entertainment. He's really big into movies and music and concerts, and so that's very much Cancer-Leo to me. And definitely the Leo. I could see the Leo part, even though he's more Cancerian. I think in his personality, and he's a little shyer, a little more cautious. But I did think of someone else that I knew for Cancer-Leo Cusp. All right, so we'll get started. Doesn't look like anyone else popped in. All right. So the Cancer-Leo Cusp, which we're in now, like I said, goes to right around the 25th or 26th. So where we are in the chart now, we have the sun at 28 degrees, 41 minutes of Cancer. So we're really, really close. We're less than 2 degrees away from Leo. So we must be less than we must be less than 48 hours away from the sun in Leo. And that really ignites the summer. I mentioned about a month ago how I felt that, Cancer was like summer, peak summer, a full summer with the, with the creatures and the landscape and nature and everything. But now things have settled down and the creatures have settled in, and it's like coming into Leo. There's more of a feeling there's more of a steady feeling now. Now that the 4th of July is over, there's just more of a, I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't, it's not feeling as watery to me. When we get into the fire, it's the full on summer. This is full on like vacation mode for people. At least the next 3-4 weeks is like major weekends away and vacations for people. So that's definitely all about Leo. And oh, good, I see someone else popped in. Great. We're talking about Leo, the Leo 1 period tonight, which is July 26th to August 2nd or 3rd, depending on the year. And obviously that starts in a week because today is the 20th. So the Leo 1 period, this is the only sign. Leo is the only sign when you do a birth or natal chart or horoscope. Leo is the only sign where you only look to the sun for rulership and for reinforcement of their personality. You don't. So when we were in Cancer, I would say when you look up a sun in Cancer's person's chart, you have to look at their moon, right? But for a Leo person, of course, you would look to their moon sign for personality clues. But you're just looking at their sun in Leo. And the reason for that is Leo 1s are ruled by the sun, and their subruler is the sun. So it all comes back to the sun, the sun, for Leos. And that is really what makes Leos unique. All Leos, but particularly Leos in the coming week. It's what makes Leos so particularly people that stand out from a crowd, and what makes them powerful. And as we're going to discuss in a little bit, the sun, you know, usually the planet Jupiter is what I use the verb magnify. Jupiter magnifies things. The sun also magnifies the Leo traits, because sun in Leo is very well placed in astrology. It's comfortable, it's dignified, it's completely at home with its own ruler. And Leos generally have a healthy ego and confidence, and they radiate that comes along with that, generally speaking. So you only look to the sun mainly in a horoscope or natal or birth chart. You would look to the sun's house and then the aspects to the sun. So is the moon important? Yes, but it's not as vital as it would have been if you were looking up a Cancer person's chart like tonight. The moon would be more of an influence because of that rulership. So that's the beauty, it's the beauty of astrology. It's just all about learning how your own technique. My technique isn't better than anyone other astrologers. It's not worse than any other astrologers. It's the way we learn the same kind of stuff, whether it's earthy or whether it's super intellectual. It doesn't matter. It's how we blend it. It's all blending. And ultimately, I know I've mentioned this before. Ultimately, when you're learning about astrology, you can read the best books on earth. You can read from the most talented intellectual astrologers and learn a lot. But then half of the book, they are talking on a level, if they're a genius, they're going to be talking on a level that probably 95% of the public can't relate to. So they're just on a certain level, just like a lot of geniuses in history and literature and, writers and stuff, they're on a certain level. Then if you read a book from an astrologer that is not as intellectual, but it's still well written, they may combine like an intellectual approach, but have it be earthy and more user friendly. And so it just depends. It's all a blend. And the more you look at this, you see what to look for. The more you look, the more you see what to look for. And with Leos, it's I think you'll understand after we talk about all this, you'll understand why the sun is so important for them in their chart. It's important for every sign, the sun sign, but for Leo, it's of vital importance. So the aspects in the house that it's in will color that fire, this fire element a lot. So we have the sun ruler. So they're double sun ruled Leos. So we're dealing with fixed fire. So in Aries in the spring, we had cardinal fire. Cardinals push, cardinals active. Now we have fixed fire. So the flame of Leo is the most steady of the fire signs. And it's what gives them a steadfastness, a steadfast quality, and what also can give them a stubborn quality. So that can be good or bad depending on how you're looking at it. And it's very easy, I always mention this, it's very easy that if any of us experienced a bad relationship or friendship with someone of a particular sign that hurt our feelings really bad or betrayed us, it's very easy to get that locked in and say, oh, God, that person was a Leo. Oh, my goodness, that person was a moon in Leo. And, you have to take into consideration that person's chart, but you have to take into consideration the age you were when you were with that person. You were a different age. That person you were at a different point in their lives than they are now. Maybe they were going through an odd period. Maybe they were just immature. They were undeveloped, or maybe they were just fearful and didn't know how to be honest. And that's another thing we're going to talk about. So when you think of the sun ruling Leo, Sun is the life force of the solar system. So no other sign has this powerful, steady heat and glow and blaze that Leo does. And, that's why, in a nutshell, that's why Leos are just Leos. Leos just stand out. It's almost hard to describe. And even the quietest Leo in a room will most likely still have presence, will have physical, emotional, or psychological presence to other people, and can attract admirers because of that sun and that warmth. So these Leos born this week, Leo ones, we're talking about a full-grown adult here, basically in the life cycle of the zodiac. We're on the 5th sign now. So now Cancer was 4, so now we're on the 5th sign. So we're going into another quadrant of signs. We're not as self-oriented, and Leo is I will. So Leo's phrase is I will. It's all about the will. And Leo is similar to Aries in that they can be good leaders and that they can inspire people. But the difference is the fixity. Aries doesn't have the fixity, Leo does. So Leo tends to hang on to whatever it is, whatever their sun, their fire energy, their warmth is attracted to. So we're talking about an adult, maybe around 30 years old, maybe. After the Saturn return, this is what like the Leo period would be. There's an adult need to have their name known. So this goes for all Leo periods for people that I've met. I've never met a Leo person that hasn't shown to me some need to be noticed, more so than the average person, if that makes any sense. Now, we all have a need to be recognized. We all have goals. We go to college, or you get certifications or graduate. Then we have hobbies and interests, and we want to be respected by our friends for our intelligence, for our values, for our humor, whatever it is that we want people to respect. But Leos have a burning need to have their name known. Now, this doesn't mean they're going to be Barack Obama or Bill Clinton, or a singer like Madonna. It doesn't mean they want that much attention or acclaim. It doesn't mean they have the energy or even the resources or intelligence to do that. But what they do have is innately, with the sun, they need to shine. I mean, can you picture yourself, you picture a spotlight on your backyard or the front of your house, a motion sensor that goes off when an animal walks by, and it just illuminates the whole night. It's so dark out, but then you have these big lights. Well, that's what the sun does for a Leo person. So when a Leo person is sparked by someone or something, they want to shine, they want to pour all their sun, that light on it. So they need to have their name known, even if it's in the quietest way. And what's tough for these Leos, these true early Leos, is being able to endure that may not happen to the extent that they want, and that they need to be okay with their own approval. They need to approve of themselves and not seek the approval of their audience. So this is going to be a theme that we'll be talking about the whole Leo period. Leo audience. Leos need an audience, whether it's 1, 2, 5, or 10,000 people at an arena for a rock concert. But Leos need an audience. And it's just interesting that goes for any Leo planet too. That goes, oh my goodness, Moon in Leos, possibly even more. Moon in Leos, Mars in Leo. I'll have to talk about that. Maybe we'll do as part of the live stream on the planets in Leo, the other ones, because Mars in Leo individuals, they're pieces of work. They are pieces of work. least in my opinion. That doesn't mean it's negative. I'm just saying they just, they always have to be so present. So, you know, there's some lessons there. So the adult need to have their name known. So here's themes of hero worship. So, and high principles. People born this week, if you know a Leo born this week, think about how he or she, every time you talk to them, they will respond. They will respond either with their ego, or they will respond only how it relates to their principles and integrity. If it doesn't resonate with their principles and their integrity, they may be cold and indifferent to what you're saying. It's not that they're being mean, but they could be very wrapped up in their own ego and their own principles. And because they're fixed, they hold on to it much tighter than like an Aries would. You know, an Aries might have principles, and Aries might say, hey, these are my principles, those are yours. All right, okay, well, those are a little different. We might have to move on to something else where we could work on. But Leo, no, Leo puts their flag in the sand and says, hey, I have these principles. This is super important to me. I like this truth. And they are often involved in hero worship or heroine worship. And I don't mean the drug. If you look at them closely, if you watch a Leo, and this goes for a lot of the celebrities too, when I was reading about celebrities, they will often have someone that they look up to, like they see as a hero or a heroine, or they are playing the hero or heroine archetype. This is very common with all Leo periods that people do this. I think some people consciously choose to come into this lifetime to be a Leo because they want to play that out. They want to act or be an actor or actress in their own life, and they want to be dramatic and have that hero worship because in a past life they didn't get to do it. Or maybe they were just a spectator and they saw people do this and they were like, hey, well, what about me? I want to be important and in the center of things. So there's definitely an area of hero worship here. And another thing I've noticed when I've read about Leos is Leos that are completely ruled by the sun. Again, there's no other influence here. It's all sun. Is they will often ascribe to a guru of sorts in some kind of spiritual, metaphysical, or intellectual pursuits. And I would say most Leos born this period would be what people would consider on their resume very well accomplished. I doubt there's many Leos born this week, unless they had a disability or something, that didn't accomplish a lot, at least on paper. Good college, maybe advanced degrees, very good extracurricular activities, debate club, drama club, that kind of thing. That's all Leo. So, being into the hero worship, they're attracted to that. And this is even for the shyest, most introverted Leo that they're still going to do it on some level. Maybe they're going to be behind the scenes in theater instead of on the front stage kind of thing. But keep that in mind when you think about your Leo friends or family. It's all about their principles, especially the sun-ruled Astroscoop, the sun-ruled Leo people that Astroscoop says, sun and sun kind of thing. So this week takes a theme of authority. And again, that goes into principles. So they may see themselves as the authority on a subject or a situation, or they have someone that is an authority. And that can be problematic for Leos born this week because, we're all authorities in our own right on certain things. Leos often miss the mark by thinking that one or two people have it figured out. So I'll give you an example. Let's say a Leo person knows someone that wrote a book on a subject that they think they're an expert on, and they got critical acclaim for it. Okay, well, I've read a lot of different self-help books by different authors, all of which have gotten good critical acclaim. But I don't fall into the trap of thinking just because I read one book, like Deepak Chopra, for example. I've read a lot of his books. He's wonderful, but I don't put all of my investment energy in thinking, well, he knows it all. He has an amazing stance and view on things, but yet there's other people that are an authority in a different sense than he's an authority. Whereas people born this week will often see themselves as the authority, whether or not that's actually accurate or not. They will most likely think they're the authority on a subject. And they may very well be, because they're usually very well prepared and they're very driven to be good at whatever they want to be good at. They're driven at it. They're driven from inside. It's not like Virgo, which is Virgos like to fine tune all the details and put things together. And we'll talk about Virgo. Leo's driven from these inner goals. Leo has this burning, and you know this if you know a Leo person. You saw it from an early age. I'll bet you saw it when they were 11, 12, or 13. They have right before the second psychological cycle, which would be 14. They have a burning need. They got to have their name known, and they got to learn something and then show that to people. They have to. There is no way in heaven that a Leo is not going to do that. I know a very shy Leo man. He's not born in this decade, so I'll mention him again when we get to the Leo 3 period. But very briefly, he's a very shy, low-key Leo man. But he used to compete in motocross. So for those of you that are into biking, motocross is a biking competition. Just regular bikes, not motorcycles. You know, like BMX bicycles, Mongoose, BMX. Those used to be big in the 80s and the late 70s when I was growing up. And I knew a lot of kids with the Mongoose bikes. And we used to ride around and stuff. I never had the fancy bikes, but I wasn't that into it. I just wanted to just have fun. But he is such a low-key Leo. But he showed me a picture of a competition that he won. You know, it's always there. If you talk to any Leo person for any length of time and they feel comfortable enough to share their childhood with you or college days, you'll find something. You'll find some trophy. You'll find there's no way, because that sun energy has to shine. And again, it doesn't matter if they're an absolute introvert. They may do it in a super quiet way. They might not do it as often as maybe a louder Leo, but they'll do it. So the authority creates a dominant stance, and this is often tied to their work. So work is very important to early Leos. They want to stand out. They want to be recognized for their efforts. But I think more importantly, they want to feel special. That's what I really think the sun, pours on them is, look at everybody. I'm special. And I don't mean that in a sarcastic way. I'm just saying they're like saying to people, look at me. I'm really special. Now, of course, we're all special. And Leos, indeed, like I said at the very beginning, Leos have a special warmth and spark that no other sign has. Leos just have whatever you want to call it, joie de vivre, charisma, magnetism, pizzazz. That's a good word. That's a really good Leo word, is pizzazz. And they have it. So that dominant stance can often come through at work. And Leos born this week would do best at self-employment, where they're their own boss. They don't even necessarily need to be the boss of others. They're not necessarily a leader per se, but they'd be a good boss because they're organized. They are truthful and earnest about what they're doing. They put a lot into it. Early Leos put a lot of heart into what they're doing. There's no doubt about that. So they can make very good bosses and inspirational bosses or coworkers, but that dominant stance can cause conflicts with people. There's no doubt that early Leo is dominant. It's the sun. It's like one of the most important planets in astrology and in the solar system and the constellations. So when you think of the sun and you think of the lion or lioness, and the power and strength that a lion or lioness has in the forest and jungle, even when they're just sitting there completely calm or playing, I mean, it's just like a reserve of power there. So it's important for Leos to have a common or higher cause. These Leos, the Sun Leos, common or higher cause. Often this comes back to their principles, right? If you know someone born this week, early Leos are very principled. It's their own sense of principles. If they're a criminal and they have high aspirations to be a good criminal, their principles may be out of whack. But it depends on their values. But generally speaking, they have good principles, and they're very idealistic. They're very idealistic, almost naive even. I would even say maybe even a touch naive about the idealistic and the principles. So they like causes. They like a higher cause. That goes into the guru and the hero worship too. They like to find something that's big and exciting and magnificent that they can put their energy into, and that their special being, their specialness can spread to others. They have to influence. I would love to talk to other astrologers and say, have you ever known a Leo that hasn't tried to influence you or someone else in a very direct way? I doubt it. Leos are influencers. That doesn't mean they're on YouTube or social media, but the energy of Leo. I knew a Leo guy once that worked at a retail store, and I asked him, it didn't seem like a job that was up his alley. And I just asked him, why did you get this job? And he said, I don't know. He said, I get to talk about my hobby. It's my passion. I get to talk to people about my hobby. He's like, that seems easy enough. So again, he was an authority on his hobby, and he gets to share that with others. And in his own mind, they're going to be like, oh, they're coming to me for the advice and the authority figure for help with buying a bike or buying a canoe or whatever. I think it was like a recreational outdoorsy type of store. So in that man's case, and he wasn't at all like he wasn't an overly proud or cocky Leo or anything like that, but he still had that need and that desire to influence people, even if it was in a really quiet way. So common or higher cause, definitely a theme for them. Also, they want to overcome Leos born this week. And this goes for all Leos. Oh, so I think someone else popped in. Welcome. Whoever's popped in, thank you for watching. I know like people like to remain anonymous, but I appreciate every single viewer. I really do. And this live stream has taken a long time to pop off, but by the end of the year, let's get it going, and hopefully things will keep moving. But yeah, I appreciate any and everyone that pops in here, and also all these minutes help contribute to the algorithm of my views in YouTube. So every time someone comes in and views, every minute that's clocked, obviously YouTube is tallying that for everybody and for me. And it's going to take me a while, but I'm a lot further along than I was, 4 or 5 months ago. So I really appreciate that. Sorry, I digress, but thank you. So the Leos love to overcome things. They love to overcome obstacles. And it's that fixity, the fixity of fire. Fire is determined. Fire is fiery and enthusiastic, but Leos can push very slowly and steady, and they can overcome, and that can bring out the best of themselves, best of self. So Leo's really, the sun in Leo, especially Leos born this week, really have an amazing opportunity in this lifetime, if they've chosen to be a Leo, to shine wonderful, magnificent, warm energy on all the rest of us that aren't Leos, and even on another Leo. But if you think about the warmth of the sun, think about how good it feels. You know, my family and I were just at the pool the other day, and I'm not a big sunbather or anything, but I like to just get my vitamin D, go out in the pool, put a little get out for 10 or 15 minutes, get the light, and then put my sunscreen on. That that warmth of the sun is just, there's nothing like it. How it makes you feel calm and comforted, and it's getting into the pores of your skin. It's creating vitamin D, which helps your immune system, which is going to help your cells, which is going to help you smile more, and so it's all good. So the right amount of sun is beautiful. So when you think about that, you think about Leos having that sun energy, that they want to give the best of themselves to other people. They have such an amazing opportunity choosing to be a Leo, depending on whether they're positive or negative. Now, unfortunately, I've seen a lot of horoscopes with major Leo in their chart that succumb to um, some pettiness and bitterness in relationships and friendships with major Leo energy. And I assume, again, I haven't known a lot of people born this week, but I would assume that it's because they feel, as an authority, they feel they're entitled to a certain amount of attention from a given person, family unit, or group. In their mind, they've made up a scorecard that I need or I want this much attention. Now, people aren't mind readers, so people don't know that. They don't know how often. And a Leo person that wants attention has to give attention. So that's, uh, you know, that's something about this here, not accepting help easily. Leos do not accept help easily. It's a really big Achilles heel with early Leos. We all need help with things, whether it's something with our infrastructure of our house, fixing something. We need emotional help. We need psychological help. We need help medically, health wise. We need to see a doctor or a specialist. You know, there's always times, of course, we want, it's good to be as independent as possible so that you can have be a full person and rely on yourself. Self-reliance is very important, and Leos have that, but not accepting help easily is, and I guess this ties into the guru thing. They may only accept help from one person or two people out of the 300 that they know, because they only see that man or woman as a guru. They may not see their parents or a sibling or even a close friend or confidant as worthy enough to confide in. They don't, and they won't. And I'm not sure, again, I'm not sure why that is. I would love to talk to more Leos and find out, where does that come from? What psychologically, what is that about with the Leo energy by choosing to be a Leo? Why is it so? Is it just pride? You know, is it fear of not appearing competent? Which any of us could have that. We all want to appear competent. Um, but Leo's, especially in this decade, really hard. So lesson here, the lesson is to lessen bitter feelings. Their bitter feelings. Leos can be so magnanimous and fun when they're feeling good. When Leos are feeling good and secure, they're just wonderful to be around, humorous, attractive, funny, uh, and generous. Generous with their time, generous possibly with gifts, or with their resources. Leos can be unbelievably generous. That's always a word that you see in every astrology column, or anytime an astrologer talks about Leo, they almost always use the word generous as a positive trait. And that's not a word that's used with every zodiac sign, or actually that many. So the fact that Leos can be so magnanimous and generous when they're feeling secure and happy is amazing. So again, they can shine and give that to us when they're feeling, if they can work on themselves if Leos learn to work on themselves from an inner point of view, not just from a striving point of view, I think Leo can get caught up in how this world has been designed, especially male Leos, is the acclaim, the power, the status. Look at my symbol. Look at the sign on my cubicle. Woohoo! Or look at the title on my office door. You know, that can really do a lot. They can really stimulate Leo for that confidence and that ego. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with achieving, getting a little, rocking it and getting a good title or making money or whatever. Nothing wrong with that. More power to you. But that lesson to lessen the bitter feelings because of that competition. So if Leos feel they're not getting theirs, whatever they feel like they should have, they're not getting their share of the pie, getting their attention and getting that adoration, then they can all often feel bitter or petty, and that will bleed into their relationship always. So they could work on that and work on that from an inner point of view instead of just striving to meet other, to meet other goals. But the upside is that they are very loyal. They tend to be very loyal friends and or spouses, but they're very demanding. There's no doubt that having pure sun energy is so strong and so hot that it's going to be demanding. Now, some people like that, and it's fine. They'll put up with that with a Leo, because if the Leo is also warm and magnanimous and generous and loving, they have all those great qualities, and that Leo person is a shining example of a good partner. Even if they're demanding them, their partner might be like, hey, I can put up with the demanding part because they give me all this other stuff. They are giving. So that's a big plus, and they can balance that loyalty with the demanding kind of demanding nature or demanding personality. So that brings me to Leos need to loosen up. So this isn't mean fun. Leos know how to have fun. Leos of all decanates are basically very fun loving, and Leos are a cat. And I'll probably talk more about this next week, about the symbology. But Leos are a cat. When you think of, doesn't matter, lion, lioness, jaguar, cheetah, panther, a lynx. We look at our house cats and how they act. They can be serious and focused one minute and then totally playful and crazy the next. And then very stealth and cautious, and then mysterious, and then right back to serious, and then right back to playful, and then right back to super lazy. When cats are hot and they'll sleep like this, and they do that. Lions do that in the jungle too. So when you think about the cat symbology, so it's important for Leos to just loosen up. They do know how to have fun, but Leos can get caught up in that pride, their principles. Leos, just go easy. Can you imagine? Think of this. The Leo energy of the sun is so strong, right? So whatever possible demanding bossiness or aggression that a Leo is showing you or someone else think about this. They are doing that to themselves with equal strength, if not more power, which obviously is going to backfire, and that's going to affect their health, whether it's their mental health or physical health. We all have to give ourselves a break. That's more of a lesson than giving our loved ones a break, right? Is to give ourselves a break. Let ourselves make mistakes. We'll talk more about that in Virgo, but this is what life's about. That doesn't mean be lazy and not keep trying. With this, I'll give you an example. With this whole Astroscoop thing in my live streams and my live chats, sometimes there's some weeks I just don't feel like doing this at all. And I have a lazy side to me. There's no doubt. I'll admit that. I'm not a Leo, but I have a lazy side. And I have a hardworking side. And I'm usually balanced. I'm usually kind of balanced. I don't work too hard and I don't work too little. But there's some weeks where I'm just like, I just want to watch Netflix. I want to go to the pool. you know, I want to just read astrology books. I want to put the music on in the air conditioning and just chill out. And I want to be like the cats, you know, I want to do it like that. So I have to fight that. I have to fight that and give myself little baby goals during the week and say, hey, no, I got to say, well, I have to earn something for myself to do this. I got to give back to myself or give back to Astroscoop and give something towards it because I want this to grow. You know, this is my baby. The Astroscoop is my baby or my new kid. So it's like I want this to grow. But we all fight that. And Leos can be very hardworking, but can also be lazy. But the loosen up is a big theme there. And Leos, I would not consider early Leos, I wouldn't describe them as easygoing. That doesn't mean they can't be. They can be very sweet and very warm, very companionable. Easygoing, no. Again, Leos have their principles, they have their opinions. Leos are strong. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not negative. But it would behoove Leos to sometimes get out of their ego, be a little more thoughtful and a little more easygoing with people, but more so with themselves. And that goes into loosen up the principles and their pursuit. Yeah, I can talk. Pursuit of truth. So they're very truth loving. They're very truth centric. But again, it's their truth. And they all have, if you talk to them, they'll say, hey, I read this book on this guru. I took this class and I trained with this person. I took this graduate course and I trained with this person. So Leos, don't forget, Leos, you have authority inside you. You don't have to look for a guru all the time. That's what other signs can teach you is Leos, you can find it from within. Don't always look for the outside from the audience to see how well you're performing or from a guru, whether it's a professor or a trainer or even a metaphysical person or guru or trainer. Even if that person is great, don't put all your eggs into that one basket of that person. You know, same thing with me. Like, even if someone watched my live stream, follows my channel and thinks I'm so great, or that's wonderful. I hope that you're getting value from me, but you have to keep what I say in perspective too. Some of what I say is going to resonate, some may not. So you have to look at what's right for you. And when any of us, you know, look at all the cults, when people give all their power and surrender over to one or two or three people, and they drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak. That's very dangerous. So people have to be careful of that, and Leos have to be careful of that as well, because of maybe that need for attention kind of thing. So that brings me into making sure that Leos incorporate the opposite. So in 6 months from now, we'll be talking about the first Aquarius period, believe it or not. 6 months, wow. Which is all more about thought and challenge, more mental challenge. So what could a Leo one learn from an Aquarius one? Well, Aquarius ones learn things more naturally, and they are more intellectually inclined and not as egocentric or not as hot. They're cooler. So Leos can learn that. Leos can learn to be more balanced and look at the bigger picture, and maybe look at the group situation, how it affects the group, instead of just looking at the Leo's ego or the Leo's presence in giving to the group or giving to others. Because Leos do have a lot to give. There's no doubt about that. Leos always have a very direct ability to influence and persuade, you know, a group or even the masses kind of thing. But it's where it can run into danger with Leo is when it's just like Leo's just using their talent for talent, and there's not anything meaningful behind it, or just wanting an audience. It's like a singer writing a song that the song is terrible, but it's just to get an audience. and all they want to see is just people basking over them, but the song doesn't have any thought or value to it, kind of thing. So it's important for Leos to, balance that, the need for the audience with something of value, and incorporate that Aquarius. So Leos can often see themselves as infallible, which obviously none of us are. Leos, it's good to swallow your pride, because you often might feel like you have unerring pride, that you don't err. And it takes a strong Leo, and it takes a very mature and evolved Leo to start to recognize those times when the Sun Leo planet doesn't recognize limitations or fallibility, or like mortality, so to speak. They may feel godlike or goddess-like. They may actually feel like that. And so it's important for Leos to know that. Now, some Leos might be like, oh, they might be offended by that, because they feel their strength and they don't want to project or show weakness, which, a lot of people don't want to. But that's definitely something to work on. And so pride is always going to be a theme with all Leo periods, but it's very, very prominent in Leo 1, because again, it's Sun ruled, co-ruled Sun. It's all Sun. So Leos are ruled by the Sun in their natal chart. So that's what I would be looking at if I was reading for a Leo. I'd look at the moon, of course, I'd look at the ascendant, but more so, I'd look at the Sun, its degree, I'd look at the placement of the house, and then any angles or aspects, because that would show where they shine in their life. It would show where they shine their spark. But that's Leo 1, and they are definitely very much pieces of work, and whether that's positive or negative, it depends on how you view it. But it's very, very specific and very strong. And there's no other period that has that ability to shine so directly and so strongly like Leo 1. So, oh my God, it's almost 8 already. Wow. All right, so let's get into the celebrities here. Before we get to celebrities, so here's the shout out. My daughter did this week a lion. She did that for me yesterday. I thought that was really pretty cool. So this is a lion. And obviously also the lioness is also a symbol. I don't want to just recognize the male part of the symbol. There's the lioness as well. And the lioness is, in a lot of ways, is more fierce and stronger than the male lion. So there you go. Female lions, female lionesses, look out. And then this is a shout out to my son. He did another piece of art for me, and he did all these colors of the rainbow. This is also, we've seen Inside Out 2 recently with all the emotions. So he's going through all the colors of the emotions, but this is more so a rainbow that he wanted to make me. And he said to me, Dad, you have to put this in my in your live stream. I said, I will. He goes, no, really, you got to put it in there. He was very determined. And then I overheard him say to himself, he's young, he said, he was making a mistake, and then he said, I'm not going to give up. He's a Taurus. So, and he has a stellium in Taurus in his chart. So astrology, it always works. I love astrology. Woohoo! Astrology is just amazing. All right, let's talk about celebrities. So this is celebrities just born the August 1 period. This is not all the other weeks. The most prominent one on here that I feel is an absolute bingo for Leo, Sun ruled, double Sun, is Mick Jagger. Like Mick Jagger. I mean, piece of work. Who else is like Mick Jagger on the planet? No one. Completely, truly unique. He's 80 years old this week, and he's on tour. He's 80. My gosh. I don't even think if I was a musician, I don't think I could be on tour like when I'm 60 or 65. I don't think I could do it. But he's 80. So God bless him. He's rocking it. And, he does all this stuff. And he has been known for many, many romances. That's another thing about Leo 1s. They they are magnetic and they attract admirers. So they often are, they can succumb to many romances in their lifetime. So you have to be careful if they're, monogamous or committed to someone. And he has 8 children from multiple relationships, but he is a rock star. 8 children from all kinds of different women, but whatever. And he's a tiny little guy with a really odd face. So there you go. Helen Mirren, awesome actress. She's also elderly, but beautiful and extremely talented, very commanding, awesome actress. Sandra Bullock, Generation X, middle-aged actress. I like her a lot. I think she gets typecast as kind of the goofy, silly actress, but I think as she's gotten older, she's shown her acting chops. She was in a movie called Premonition from, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago. Really, really good. Kind of a psychic kind of phenomena, mind bender kind of movie. Really, really good. I like Sandra. Very leonine. Gerald Casale is one of the co-founders of the new wave group Devo, which has the song called Whip It. And he infused a lot of really campy, quirky, and sunny qualities into their music. He wanted it to be fiery and fun, and he wanted to make a statement. And his principles were all about those shootings at that college. I can't remember the university. I think it was in the 60s. There was that whole movement and the activism, and they were there. Some of the guys from Devo, I think, were going to a college there or another college, and they were involved in that movement. And that's why they named their group Devo, as in society is devolved, de-evolution, because of the problems. Geddy Lee is the former lead singer and bassist of the Canadian rock group Rush, probably the best bass player on the planet, in my opinion. Amazing. And he's still performing and still going. One of the most amazing high falsetto rock voices. When you hear him sing, it's like he sounds like a cat screaming, like in the middle of the night, and he looks like a cat. I mean, if he's not a pure Leo, look up Geddy Lee or type in Rush Tom Sawyer and the rock group. I think I started liking Rush when I was 11. So he definitely influenced the whole genre. David Sanborn, he just passed away, I think a week or two ago. He's an amazing saxophone player. I got to see him play at a jazz fest that I saw with my family at one of the casinos about 20 years ago, I think. That was about 20 or 25 years ago at the casino. And he was there, amazing. Arnold Schwarzenegger, again, piece of work. Look at his face, look at the smile, looks like the cat features, total ham. He has the new insurance commercial, State Farm. I can't remember what the tagline is, but it's really funny. Lawrence Fishburne, another commanding leonine actor with a very strong ego. I love his voice. He's from The Matrix and a lot of other good things. So he's very, very much Leo. Kate Bush is a female Leo singer from the 80s and 90s. And her song Running Up That Hill has been featured in the Stranger Things franchise series. So she's got a resurgence of fame. And she helped to define kind of the alternative pop era for women and influence all the 90s and 2000s songwriters that were women. So she was very, very big in the music world. Daniel Ash is a Leo from a alternative group from the 80s and 90s, and had a very, very dramatic and theatrical background that he brought to the group. Jim Corr is a more obscure singer and guitarist, and he's from the group The Corrs, which are from Ireland, and they're a group of brothers and sisters. So they're all siblings. He's wonderful. Jerry Garcia, everyone knows who he is. He's another big one like Mick, who absolutely looks like a big lion, looks like a cat. Look at what he influenced. He had a whole genre in it. The Grateful Dead, they're not my cup of tea, but they did influence, they almost are their own genre. Like Grateful Dead is really like almost their own music and category. So he carved that out. So that's pretty amazing. Joe Elliott, also a very influential rock singer from the group Def Leppard. They're still touring. He's still going, and he's still got the fire. Leo's got a lot of determination. Myrna Loy, if you look her up, she's an old-time actress. Very kind of stern, strong look. Looks like cat-like to me. Very leonine. Very beautiful. Wes Craven is the late producer and director of Scream, the Scream horror series, which started in '96. And he also did Nightmare on Elm Street. So he was a big horror guy along the lines of Stephen King or Dean Koontz, who's another horror novelist. So Wes Craven, awesome, awesome. Brought a good drama flair, especially to Nightmare on Elm Street. And then the last one on the list is Carl Jung, who he coined extroversion and introversion. So any of you, and I know Carolyn likes Jung and Freud, and Jung and Freud worked together, and Jung was I didn't realize that Jung was such a Renaissance person. He was a psychoanalyst, psychologist. I think he was a psychiatrist, but he was also a craftsman, a builder, a writer, and I think an artist, something else. So, I mean, imagine that. Imagine the creativity. Do you think he wanted his name known? Holy cow. And he was in a very crowded, the field of psychology was very crowded when he was starting to get into it with Freud. And he saw the other guy who's the William something, can't remember his last name. William, he's the father of modern psychology. So he was established. And then Freud and Jung and a couple other guys, they all started to develop their own disciplines in psychology. But obviously, we all know Jung was incredibly influential. He was influenced by those great guys, but then he influenced a lot of people. And a lot of the more modern day psychologists today, like especially psychologists that are very holistic, and they look at personality, even astrology, and they look at the extroversion and the introversion models and those tests and stuff are very, people call themselves Jungian, if they practice the Jungian style. And there's a lot of therapists, family therapists that do Jungian style. Those are great. Those are great techniques, very helpful. But I mean, did he want his name known? And did he had his heroes that he worshipped? And then he was also worshipped in that field. He had very principled, very strong truth, causes. He meets all that criteria of the Leo 1 period. So absolutely very fiery and influential in the period field of psychology. So, all right, we're at 8:08. Carolyn says, kudos to your artists and thank you for a great chat on Leo. Gotta love Carl Jung. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it makes me want to go back. Obviously, it was more in my college days and like early 30s that I was reading more of that kind of stuff. It was more fresh. And these days I'm reading, I read a little self-help. I don't read many novels, and I'm mostly reading or rereading the astrology books that are in my collection that I've kept. I've recycled or sold a lot of astrology books because once I read them once or twice, I don't really need them anymore because most of it's up here, but I've extracted, 75% of it. But the ones I do have, the books I do have, I have the houses over here, Power Places in the Horoscope, the houses. That book is amazing. I could read that. I've probably read that, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. But I think I want to start getting back into some Jung and Freud and start, seeing some of those connections that they had to some of the astrological, the signs, but also the temperaments and the models like extroversion and introversion. Yep, very cool. And yes, kudos to the artists here. They've been working really hard I'm trying to keep my kids off of screens. We're trying hard. They've been on a lot of screens, but you know what? They've been doing a lot of reading, and they're doing so much artwork. They're watching videos, which is a screen, but then they're going off of the screen and they're working for an hour or two and doing their own projects. So it's wonderful, wonderful to see. And yeah, but this is the time, you know, now I'm looking over here, it's 8:10 Eastern Standard Time. I can see that in 10 minutes it's going to be the sunset. It looks so much darker and calmer than it did, especially like 2 weeks ago. It's not as hot. It's not as pronounced. But as we come into the Leo period, this is a time for all of us to shine. So you don't have to be a Leo to show people what you got, so to speak. So that's kind of the thing for Leo is, you know, Leos like healthy competition. There's nothing wrong with that. And, you know, I think Leos would like the show Cobra Kai, which just came out on the 18th, the last season, season 6 of Cobra Kai, which is all based on the Karate Kid tropes of Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio, and Johnny Lawrence, played by William Zabka. So Cobra Kai is pretty cool. But I would think that would be something that Leo people would be attracted to, young and old, because it has heart, it's youthful, it's about kids, teenagers, but it's also about rivalries and competition. And, you know, also kind of standing up for what you believe in and showing people what you got, whether it's physically, like with karate, whether it's physical, but it's more metaphorical about having your own will. That's what Leo teaches us. Leo is I will. So even for all the negative traits that Leo can fall into, Leos generally don't like, you know, things that are fake. Leos appreciate competence and willfulness and strength in other people. So if you can bring that to your Leo friend or family member, most likely they can echo that, they can mirror that back to you. And if they mirror that warmth back to you, that's a beautiful thing, because when Leo planets are, you know, I know some people that have dated Leos, and they've said to me, there's nothing like dating a Leo. And I know what that means. I've dated a Leo before, and there are those moments with a Leo where it's just yeah, the spark is magnificent. It's like fireworks, right? Of course, that doesn't last. That doesn't last, and that can also burn out quickly. But there's no doubt that the Leo energy has that. So that's my advice to Leos. Time for them to shine, but it's also time, you know, for all of us to shine. So hopefully others will catch this on the replay. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, especially with your family and friends. And tonight is Saturday. Next Friday and Saturday, I'm going to be on vacation next weekend, so I will not be here live next week. But I may do a live stream Wednesday, either Wednesday evening, maybe earlier than 7, like at dinner time, like at 5 or 6, or I might do it at 7 or 8. I have to see how my schedule goes Wednesday for a late in the day, but I'll see. But mark your calendars. I most likely will do, it might not be a full live stream, but I might do at least a half hour, and we'll talk about Leo a little bit, and I'll try to get that in before my vacation. And then most likely we'd be looking at my next full live stream would be the following, what date would that be? It would be like probably would be the first, it would be the first Friday in August, whatever day that is. So that's what we're looking at. So happy birthday to all Leo people coming up. Leo in 2 days and full moon tomorrow. This is right now is the waxing moon for the last few hours into the full moon. So happy full moon, everybody. We'll see you next week.